It's Sunday morning on CBS. Here again is Jane Pauley.
Classic typewriters like these figure in a new book of stories written by Tom Hanks. Yeah, that Tom Hanks. In fact, you might say typewriters play a supporting role in his life, as Lee Cowan saw firsthand.
There aren't a lot of places left in our touchscreen world where an old typewriter can find respect. But Gramercy Typewriter in New York City isn't just any place. Paul Schweitzer and his son Justin still sell and service these writers' tools of old.
Releases it.
Our own Morley Safer brought his typewriter here before he passed. At least, so says the index card on file. After all, there are no computers here. But
Look at that green. That's beautiful.
as repeat customers go,
That's a dense, solid machine.
there are few
Then you come
who beat
around
Tom
here
Hanks.
and isn't a fine, manly typewriter?
Typewriters are this Oscar
business
winner's
machine,
vice.
but look at that. Look at
His
those
not so
beautiful-
guilty pleasure.
Beautiful knobs. You're typing on something that works exactly the same as it did in 1938.
He has a personal collection of more than 100, nearly every style, make, and year.
Got it. Welcome.
Funny that a guy whose name is synonymous with You've Got Mail
Do you think we should meet?
loves something even more vintage than AOL itself.
There's a percussive quality to writing sometimes, you know? It
Feels like you're doing something, right?
If the drums are the backbone of any rock and roll band, the sound of a typewriter is the sound of productivity. Listen to this sound.
They intrigue him so much, Hanks even made typewriters the supporting characters in this, his very first book, a collection of short stories fittingly titled Uncommon Type.
Did you intend to weave a typewriter into each story, or did that just sort of happen?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was on purpose. It helped me formulate each story.
Really?
Yeah.
Because each typewriter had sort of a personality to it?
Yeah, exactly.
His stories, 17 in all, are not about typewriters, nor are they really about Tom Hanks, although you may catch glimpses of him, including his life growing up in a fractured home.
When I was 10 years old, both my parents had already been married 3 times, and I'd lived in 10 different houses. And I thought of it as kind of like a cool adventure. I was confused a lot by why it happened. We just were moving. We just had new people in our lives. We didn't know why. They were good people. In some ways, it's like I'm going back and looking at those times for me and my siblings and trying to put context on the confusion.
May I bring my typewriter, sir?
Besides his own life, Hanks also drew inspiration from his big screen life, too.
Earn this. Earn it.
You won't find Private Ryan in his book, but you will find 2 World War II Army buddies who reconnect every year on Christmas Eve.
The third act of these guys' lives are things that I always wondered about.
Like what happens after?
And I always thought, how did these guys set up the electric trains around the Christmas tree in 1954? How did they do that? This is the typewriter that got man to the moon.
Houston, we have a problem.
He wondered, too, about Jim Lovell, the astronaut he played in Apollo 13, and what it must have felt like to feel the pull of the moon's gravity instead of the Earth's.
There is a tick of a clock. There's a moment that goes like this, where you leave one and begin the other. We all cross some brand of barrier like that, a river, a boundary, an event that is our own personal Rubicon.
Despite that
Listen to
vivid
that.
description, Hanks wasn't at all sure that he had a book in him.
That's almost like whisper quiet. As far as the solitary hard labor of being a writer, I think I thought there was some kind of trick to it that I would never be able to master. Something that was more than just the one damn thing after another of writing. That's the beast. And you just keep plowing away at it.
But that feeling, though, when you do finish a sentence or a paragraph and you know you've gotten it, is great.
Well, I can't say I ever stopped one and said, "Blackjack." I never felt.
Really?
Never necessarily felt that way. You can control a certain amount of your fate and the direction that it goes in, but there's also times when you just throw yourself up to the void and hope, you know, some fairy dust is sprinkled upon your efforts.
Are you scared?
No. Yeah.
The first thing he remembers writing, other than a script, was a farewell to his longtime makeup artist, Dan Streetpeck.
He was 75, and he called me up. He said, "Kid, I got to tell you, I want you to be the first to know. I'm done. And I don't mean done, I mean done.
Streetpeck, a 40-year veteran of Hollywood, had transformed Hanks into everything from a bedraggled castaway to a young man named Forrest.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
But when it came time to write his appreciation of
You
Streetpeck,
never know what you're going to get.
he asked for help from his friend, the late writer-director Nora Ephron.
I sent it to her and I said, "Is this anything? Is this a thing?" And she said, "Yes, it's definitely a thing, but it lacks a voice."
Ouch.
And I had no idea what that meant. And she says, "There's something here, but it's got no DNA to it."
He kept writing and rewriting, a skill he jokes he learned from watching Johnny Carson.
Kirk Douglas was on The Tonight Show talking about his memoir, The Ragpicker's Son. Johnny Carson asked Kirk Douglas, "So how did you write this?" "Well, you know, Johnny, the secret of writing is rewriting." And I thought, oh, I'm getting literature lessons from Kirk Douglas.
He eventually got his appreciation of Streetpeck published in the New York Times. The book, however, was a different story.
The one-finger typewriter.
Types faster than I do with all 10.
It took him years to pound out, writing on planes, on movie sets, and in hotels. His first public outing for a short story was in The New Yorker, and the response seemed good enough to keep on writing in that Hanksian voice of his.
In the driveway was an actual sports car, red, a two-seater with wire wheels. The wood paneling was like furniture. The seats smelled like leather baseball mitts. The red circle in the middle of the steering wheel said, Fiat. That's right, Fiat.
His love of typewriters inspired his writing more than it facilitated it. He wrote his book, after all, on a computer. He's not an idiot. That said, there's an infectious quality to his hobby that is hard to resist.
This is what I would suggest. If you wanted the perfect typewriter that would last forever, that would be a great conversation piece, I'd say get the Smith Corona Clipper. That will be as satisfying a typing experience as you will ever have.
Turns out he's as good a typewriter salesman as he is an actor. I bought it.
All right.
And then he sat down and wrote me a congratulations new owner note.
There you go, kid. I'll sign it for you.
From actor to author.
And it only cost you $973 in cash. Am I wrong?
Tom Hanks seems pretty comfortable in his new role,
There you have it.
which may mean
Bravo, do you have a carrying
there's
case?
more ahead.
If I see enough stories that are around and start asking enough questions about where it would go, I hope to write more. All sales are fine. No credit card. Hope you brought your checkbook or a lot of cash.